place and you might think it's a quiet, simple city. But if you know something about history, you'll realize this is where all the battles, or most of the battles, took place during the Three Kingdom era, and that's over 1700 years ago. Jingzhou is a place filled with history, filled with blood, sweat, and tears. And today, in Travelogue's History and Culture series, we're going to explore this city. Welcome to Travelogue, I'm Yin.
Jingzhou of Hubei Province, located in the middle reaches of the Yangtze River, is an ancient city famous as a battleground in ancient times, and during the Three Kingdoms period from 220 to 265 AD. The Three Kingdom period, following the Han Dynasty's collapse, was characterized by a period of disunity and civil war. The rulers of the Wei, Shu, and Wu kingdoms all strove to expand and reunite the empire, and thus were constantly at war. This tumultuous period was memorable in Chinese history, and its fame was amplified by the popularity of the Chinese literary classic, Romance of Three Kingdoms. The Romance of Three Kingdoms is one of the four great classics, also including Journey to the West, A Dream of Red Mansions, and Outlaws to the Marsh. The Romance of Three Kingdoms has been around for 600 years, and it's deeply embedded in Chinese history and culture. Common people often make reference to the tales of struggle and human nature.
That's me. Over here, on the southwest corner, we have Liu Bei in the Shu Kingdom. He can do it. Here, on the southeast corner, we have Sun Quan, who is also a very mighty man. That's me. I'm Sun Quan. And these three kingdoms together, they fought for many, many years. Eventually, these three kingdoms collide here at this very rock of Jingzhou. That's where we are today. And they fought for this place slowly, through the years, gradually. It was a difficult match. And you know, it's going to last for 70 years.
The city of Jingzhou has a history of thousands of years, and its ancient wall is one of the most complete in southern China. The ancient city is divided into three parts, from outside to inside, layer by layer. The outermost layer is the Water City, then Brick City, and finally Earth City. There's a water ditch surrounding the city as a first line of defense. Then there are two brick city gates, and the earthen space between them was used to trap the enemy inside. The earliest Jingzhou city was constructed in the Zhou dynasty over 3,000 years ago, and it was said that the ancient city wall was built by Guan Gong some 1,700 years ago, and the present wall was fixed in 1644 during the Ming and the Qing dynasty. This is one of China's only city walls that stands on its original dirt and earth base, with the longest history among all the city walls in China's ancient times.
Good horsey. But you know, this is not just any man's horse. Chinese people, when they see this horse, along with, back there, you see that blade? These two things combined, and Chinese people will tell you of one famous character in history. Who is he? And that person is right here. This man called Guan Gong, and he was a viceroy under the Liu Bei Empire Shu Kingdom. And he's very well known for using this blade right here.
The Guan Gong Memorial Temple was built to commemorate this hero. Some of his life stories have been turned into semi-fictional ones, and his moral characteristics have been exaggerated. Guan Gong is traditionally portrayed as a red-faced warrior with a long beard. The idea of his red face was probably borrowed from opera representation, where red faces depicted loyalty and righteousness. It's believed that Guan Gong constructed this ancient city. He was a military general under Liu Bei during the late Eastern Han Dynasty and Three Kingdoms period in ancient China. He played a significant role in the civil war that led to the collapse of the Han Dynasty, and is thus seen as a cultural hero. Today, he's still being worshipped by Chinese, especially in Hong Kong. Guan Gong has been deified as the god of war and martial arts as early as the Sui Dynasty. Also, according to folklore, Guan Gong's weapon was a guan dao, a giant blade weighing an enormous amount.
And there's actually a famous Chinese idiom. It translates into playing with the blade in front of Guan Gong, and what that really means is trying to show off before a professional. I think I'll need a little more work.
Guan Gong is strongly attached to the ancient city of Jingzhou, and he constructed it mainly of bricks and stones at the bottom. The gaps between the bricks were held together with a sticky rice substance, serving the same function as cement. The sturdy construction seals his love for the city and the historical importance he played. The old city walls are unique in that they have a curvy shape. The walls were built along the winding river course and thus take that formation. During the Three Kingdoms period, Jingzhou became a highly desirable territory. After taking Jingzhou, Liu Bei could access central China. If Sun conquered Jingzhou, he could take advantage of the Yangtze River as a natural barrier. And if Cao Cao were to take Jingzhou, he could attack Sun's territory in the southeast.
Can you guess what makes this gate so unique? Well, you probably can't, because it used to be called a water gate, and this place used to be all surrounded by water. We'd be swimming right now. And it's the water gate that allowed the boats to come from outside into the city's walls. It was through this unique gate that Liu Bei entered the ancient city's walls, because he was to marry Sun Quan's sister and thus form an alliance with Sun Quan. See, many things in history do change, but some remnants still remain.
The ancient city wall is not large, but is complete and intricate. A unique element is that the tortuous city wall gates do not face each other directly. Instead, from above you'll see that the path between the two entrances is curved. And Just like it was in the old days, the inner side of the wall is not composed of brick, but rather a dirt slope that fits in with the natural environment.
The ancient city walls in Jingzhou are perhaps the oldest and longest standing in the entire country. And you'll see that besides the typical brick stone ones, you also have something unique like this one back here. It's all gray. Well, you know, this is actually glutinous rice, and it's because of the abundance of crops in this area that people built these very edible walls. Maybe if the invaders wanted to conquer the land, they could just eat up the walls.
And speaking of food, even the food relates to the three kingdoms.
And our meal begins. But before we get started, I have a quick question for you. Imagine someone told you had to make 100,000 arrows with limited time and few resources. What would you do? Think about it. The answer is you'd borrow them, and that's exactly what Sun Quan and Liu Bei did tactfully with Cao Cao.
This is the famous Zhuge Liang borrows arrows story. Zhuge Liang was the prime minister and brain behind the Shu kingdom's strategies. In this story, the Shu and Wu kingdoms joined together to fight against the Wei kingdom. The commander of the Wu kingdom ordered Zhuge Liang to produce 100,000 arrows within a few days so they could attack the Wei. Zhuge Liang sent 20 ships with scarecrows to the surface of the river on a misty night. When Zhuge Liang's fleet got close to the Wei camp, Zhuge Liang ordered his soldiers to shout and beat drums to fake an attack.